Welcome back to the Prop Room. We're here again at Hertfordshire University with our lovely camera team who are all sat there in the darkness helping us out.
Yeah, we've got Laura, Kurtis, Kieran and Karina.
Thanks very much
wonderful
for their help, and thanks for all of the followers and likers and subscribers and all of that stuff that's kind of helping us, filling us with momentum to keep going.
Yeah, we love doing this, and we want to do it. We want to do it for longer, don't we?
We do.
We do. We've got a very, very special guest in today, haven't we?
We have.
Who have we got, Ben?
We've got Alex Singh, who is currently a props trainee for film and TV, which is exciting because I guess we have to refer to you as a young person. That's okay. You'll see. You can call me an old person because that's fine. I've come to terms with it now.
I'll be in the middle.
You can be in the middle. Yeah. Lee's not young or old, but perfectly cryogenically frozen, middle-aged.
Yeah.
So he'll never ever pass into the next phase. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
So your start. I know a little bit about how you arrived here, but let's go into a bit more detail. First off, we're filming this at Hertfordshire University.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we start with your story.
Yeah,
And why is that?
because I was a Herts uni student here, 2011. Whoop, whoop. So it's been a while, been 15 years. I studied English literature and creative writing. How I got there, I initially wanted to study film, but my parents were very like, we want you to be a teacher, and
Okay.
I was raised as a people pleaser, so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. But the passion for film and TV didn't die down. So I did 2 years here and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then the travel bug got me, and I decided to take a break and go traveling. And and then through that, it's led me eventually to
Where did that spark for film come from? What was that seed?
growing up. I was an only child, and I guess growing up mixed race as well. I had a really creative imagination. Had an imaginary friend. I used to write stories and poetry.
Wow.
So film and TV was my escape
Okay.
from reality, and being an only child and not having many friends. I was an introvert.
Yeah. What films did you grow up with? What were you drawn to?
Dramas. My mum used to watch a lot of crime shows like
Right.
CSI and CIS. So I watched a lot of that. And then like one of my favorite films is The Terminal with Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Me and my dad know that film off by heart, and
True story, isn't
It's
it?
a true
Yeah.
story.
True story. Yeah.
and it's so important to my relationship with my dad. It's become part of our vernacular.
Yeah,
So
okay.
sometimes he'll call me on Tuesday, and there's a quote from the film that says, "I hate the Tuesdays,"
Yeah.
and we just find ourselves constantly quoting films. And
It's lovely that you said that.
That's
because
interesting. Yeah. That's
It's
lovely.
really lovely that you said that because I've never thought about it like that before. But like all of my film influences are from my dad, and just to interrupt a little bit because I really want to. My favourite film is Rocky, the Rocky films, and that's what I can remember most vividly from growing up. And I've got 2 sons now; they're 11 and 9. And last Christmas, we sat and watched the Rocky films together for the first time. And I wasn't watching the films because I've seen them literally a million times. I was watching them watching the films for the first time, where they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if he's going to win or lose. They don't know any of it.
Yeah.
And it was like the most incredible experience
Yeah,
watching someone have your experience. I just can't explain how interwoven it is into sort of who I am and who I think they'll become, because that love of cinema and TV, you watch it with your family.
yeah, exactly.
It's your family time. You experience those things together, and they're vitally important bits of your childhood.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's just going off what you just said. What I love is, especially now in my adult era of my life, life gets busy. I don't see my parents as much working in the film industry. The hours are really long, but we always will dedicate some time of the week to watch a film,
Yeah.
or binge watch a show.
Yeah.
Like, so my mum's more into TV shows and my dad's very much into films. And going back as well, my love for film and TV as well. My parents were separated, and on the weekend I would go to my dad's, and it was always just a movie weekend
Yeah.
where we would just watch a bunch of films.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just loved, I guess that's what I loved about it. It was that was a dedicated time
Yeah.
where we would experience all these emotions. We'd cry, I'd see my dad cry like over a film, and I'm like, oh wow, that must have sparked something within
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just kicked off my imagination, and I'd write my own stories,
Yeah.
and that's what I loved about the creative writing studying here. I was just never short of stories, and people be
That's
like, where did
interesting
you
that
conjure
you,
this up?
and super useful, I think, even though it's not necessarily applicable on paper,
Yeah.
but that understanding of creative writing and literature is like really deeply interwoven with like storytelling and filmmaking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Understanding what makes a good story and how to evoke those emotions out of your dad.
Yeah.
Do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. And I find that it actually helps, even just going back to props. It helps in a way having that creative imagination and watching lots of films and TVs growing up, because you see things even on set, no matter how different the set is, if it's fantasy or if it's drama, you still will look at the set and the props in a realistic lens and be like, okay, well, how would that actor interact with the cup or the pen? Would they actually hold that pen? Does that relate to the character? In which I don't usually do in my day-to-day life, but it's definitely more
You see,
observant.
yeah, you see the value of objects and their ability to help character back up that character, his world, their world, her world. Super important.
So from that first spark, so you did a couple of years here.
Yes.
And then what was the moment that made you realise that film and TV was where you wanted to be?
Yeah, so I was here from 19 until 21. And then I think once I got to 21 and I went on my first solo trip alone, which was to Monaco, of all places. But it was to attend a film festival there.
Oh, okay.
I was just one of those crazy fans that was just at the red carpet like, this is the life.
That's cool.
And then I returned back and I just went to my parents and I said, like, I can't go back to uni. It's not that I can't go back, it's just that degree in English literature and creative writing is not what I'm going to pursue. And then from there I joined retail, which like is completely different. But it's what you do when you're fresh out of uni or you're a student and you just need a job for Christmas, right?
Totally, yeah.
And then I'd save up money and book a holiday and go solo traveling for 2-3 weeks. I'd take loads of photos and
Experiencing the world, I
Yeah.
think, which is like
Experiencing the world.
important.
Yeah.
and
Not knowing what you were building at the time, but
Exactly.
subconsciously something was happening there.
Yeah. So it was 2014. I was at Victoria's Secrets and I got offered a promotion as a supervisor, and it was either that or a volunteering option in India to work as a midwife, in which I don't have a medical background whatsoever. But they were like, yeah, it's not
Not
nothing.
required.
Yeah, it's India. And I turned it down. And at the time, like the salary for a supervisor back then, this 2014, so 12 years ago, was 30,000, and I was 22.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's great. Like that's more than what my parents make.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it. I went to India and I worked there for a month. I delivered a few babies.
Wow.
And I taught at a school because it was midwife in the morning and then a teacher in the afternoon. That was my days. I lived with a local family and had the best time.
Oh my gosh,
This
that's
is such
amazing.
this is such a life.
That's a much better story than working in
Right?
working in a shop.
Yeah.
And you're only how old at
Okay.
this point?
22.
Right.
Yeah, I think-
I feel like I need to have done more.
Yeah, you
With
should have done
my-
more.
Yeah. I can't go back though, can I?
No, you could go now.
It's never too late.
It's never too
Okay.
late.
Never too late.
Okay, so we need to digest what's just happened. So
Yeah.
from there,
From there, I went back to Victoria's Secrets briefly, and I worked there for a few years, and then I was just done with retail. Didn't want to work Boxing Days anymore. Didn't want to work New Year's Day anymore.
Sure.
And I got offered a job to work as a travel agent
Yeah.
for a company called Flight Centre. And I was like, great, okay, that's another passion of mine, is traveling.
Yeah.
So that intertwines.
Yeah.
And had a lovely few years there, a couple of years. And then I got the itch again, and I was like, life is short. I lost a family member, and I was like, right, what am I doing with my life? So I booked a one-way ticket and I moved to Australia
Okay.
for a year.
As you do, just like
As
that.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just handed in my notice, and they're like, how long are you giving us? And I was like, a week.
Yeah.
I leave next week. And I moved out to Australia. I knew no one. I had no job, no address. I stayed in a hostel for the first few days, rummaged through Facebook to try and find a flat. That was taking a while. So I was like, right, book a flight and I'll stay in New Zealand for a month and tour around New Zealand. So I did that. I decided to jump out of a plane and do skydiving one
Yeah.
day. And that was what my life was for a month.
It's funny they're like my
Just throwing it all out.
no, get it all out. I think my sister who's 4 years my junior, she did her gap year. She ended up studying travel and tourism at uni in Newcastle, and then she did her gap year in a place called Jupiter Island near Miami, where she worked at a holiday resort. And then after uni, she moved to Australia, lived out there for a bit, near Bondi Beach, and I visited her there. She met a guy. They fell in love. They ended up coming back here. Then they kind of, that relationship came to an end. She finished, and then she'd always had a want to go to New Zealand. So she went to New Zealand, and that's currently where she is with 3 kids and her partner. And she's outside of the capital city. She loves it there. It's such an amazing. But I've been a couple times, but I'd like to go for longer. But
it's so beautiful. The
Yeah.
landscape is so cinematic.
yeah,
Funny enough, I lived near Bondi Beach as well.
okay, yeah,
I ended up working for a travel cruise company out there, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
I loved it. I got a promotion out there. They really wanted to sponsor me, but it was just too far from home, and
Yeah.
I'm a family girl, so. But it was great. It was definitely a life experience.
It's learning that self-confidence, isn't it? I think
Exactly.
you can apply it to anything where you just go, actually, I need to just step out into some deeper water here
Yeah.
and learn to be a more competent
Yeah.
negotiator.
Yeah.
I need to be able to speak to people I don't know. I need to be
Yeah.
able to be in some situations where you need to sort of problem solve your way out. Where am I sleeping? What's going on? Where am I
Yeah.
moving? How am I going to make some money to eat? All of that kind of
They're
stuff.
big leaps of faith, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really big leaps.
Growing up, I suppose, it's not really the way to phrase it, but it is. It's growing up.
Definitely.
It's growing into who you are now, I suppose. It's
Yeah.
all vitally important experience.
Yeah, I mean, other than the 2 years that I was here, what my first year I stayed on campus. The second year was living at home. But other than that, I lived with my mum.
Yeah.
So this was completely new to me. And obviously being an only child, I was spoilt in the sense that I never really turned a washing machine on or anything. And there I was thousands of miles away calling my mum, showing her the knobs on the washing machine, like, how do I switch this on? How do I put a
I still
wash-
get that now, though. Like, I can't switch the telly on downstairs. It's like, it's the same button it's been for like 17 years in this house. I don't think any buttons have changed. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was out there for a year, came back in 2019. When my old job, the travel agency, hired me back as a business development manager. So I was in charge of an area manager in charge of 20 stores, and making sure that they were hitting their KPIs for business travel.
KPI?
Yeah, so KPIs is essentially targets.
Targets, okay.
Yeah. But it was a lot of cold calling
Yeah.
and a 9 to 5 office job, and I was like, oh, I could feel it picking at my soul.
Daunting doing cold calling. stuff,
It was
isn't
it was and
Trying having to build a relationship really
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
just
with someone you never
lots of
spoken to before.
rejection
Yeah.
and then COVID hit,
Yeah.
2020, and travel was the first industry to be hit the most.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
big time.
So I was made redundant. And then I thought to myself, right, I didn't really get that much redundancy money. So I thought to myself, oh, what do I do now? And I'd been toying the idea of starting up my own business. Everyone was doing that in COVID, I think. Like everyone's, being furloughed and making their own bread at home. And another thing about me is I'm quite spiritual. I love crystals and Reiki and everything. So that was an influx in COVID. And I thought, let me start that. So I did. I started my own business and learnt so much about that. And content creation for that blew up on TikTok overnight. I got 1.7 million views.
Right.
I had 300 orders overnight, and I was going to Lanzarote in 48 hours. And me and my mum were just up for 48 hours packing orders.
Wow.
And that was great.
We need to get your mum on here
Yeah.
next, I think.
When's the book
Yeah,
coming?
she's been through it all with me, trust me. And that was great for 5 years. And then it started to die down. And that's when I had to reflect on my life again.
Yeah.
And I think it was at that point I pulled myself aside and was like, we know deep down what's really going to fulfill
Yeah.
and fill the cup, and it's joining the industry.
Yeah.
How do I join the industry? I have no connections. I don't know anything. The only good thing that I do have 15 years of sales background is I can talk my way into something.
Yeah.
I can meet people. I can network.
That's your superpower.
That's my superpower, which is odd because I have anxiety, but I mask really well. And this opportunity popped up on my Instagram to do a 2-day locations workshop to learn how to be a marshal. And I was like, great, it's free. It's down the road from me.
Yeah.
Let me do it.
Great.
And that's how I got into locations, which I started last October. And through that, talked my way into props.
Yeah.
That's where I'm here now.
Why props?
It's the element of being physical, also being on set and being creative and having a way in with the story, but also the creative vision. So it ticked a lot of boxes as to what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the path that I envisioned for myself, but then I don't really know what path I envisioned for myself. I just knew that I have a great imagination. I'm very creative, but I'm also a really hard worker.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared of the graft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And props is all of that. So it's great. And no day is the same, which is great for somebody that has ADHD. Because I'm just like always on my toes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been very, very interesting.
And still early days, really, I suppose.
Still early days.
Yeah. Because I mean, my story is not quite as amazing as yours. But yours is quite a high benchmark to try and. But I was sort of in sort of retail in a sense in a supermarket, and still quite young, and I'd left school and kind of given up on the fact that I was ever going to learn anything that would get me anywhere. Got a job in the real world and came to a point similar to yours where there was a trainee management position, and I was like, well, if I've got to do something, that's it. I'll give that a go. So I kind of did the application, had a couple of interviews, tried really, really hard to sort of get motivated about it. I think I probably was genuinely motivated, but at this point I was probably 17 or 18, and I got refused at that. I went through all of the processes. Thought it was like, I've got to be a shoo-in. Was looking around going, I've got it all. I'm charismatic. I'm good at my job. I'm really happy to just sort of dive in and just do whatever. And I wasn't good enough. And it was like, oh, crikey. And it's like, then you're sort of stuck in that moment where you're like, well, what am I going to do now? Like, if I can't do this, what am I going to do? And at some point, some kind of firework went off somewhere, and it was like, the phone rang, and it was a friend of mine, and he was like, I think I'm going to go to college and study film. And I was like, oh, well, I like films. I've watched them all the time. That does sound like a good idea. What does it cost? And I can't remember whether it was free or it was tiny. So it was like, oh, I'll go do that. I'll go do that. So we went there, and at that point you come colliding head on with like a teacher that basically lights a fire under you. And the lecturer at the college was so into it. He was into British cinema, German, Hong Kong, the US, and he, in this sort of AS film level, which is like half an A level, just because we had a great teacher, you got like somebody, it was like a candy shop with him. He was like opening your eyes to all sorts of stuff, and not just stuff that you'd seen on the TV. It was the whole cinematic world in every culture across time. And then that snowballed into university, where it's like, okay, well, I should practically learn how to do something. Went to university and wasn't very good at anything there either. But you were around a lot of other people who were great at stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe I could kind of end up just being the glue in between everybody. What's missing? Who's not doing something? And just finding that spot, going, there's no one doing this, there's no one doing that. I'll just be the guy that can just be. On a Monday, I'm like a tape recorder guy. On a Tuesday, I'm like pegging stuff up in the background. On the Wednesday, I'm loading the van. I'll just basically do whatever on any day just to be a part of it. And I'll figure it out later. And then that sort of went on for 3 years, and then just kept snowballing and snowballing. And then all of a sudden, like you, that one day going, where do I really want to be? Because at one point I had a foot in the sort of assistant director's canoe and another foot in the art department, and was kind of going downstream, feeling like my legs were getting pulled apart, going, I have to get into one boat here, else there's going to be trouble. And at that point, the great almighty, whoever they are, whatever that is, just shone a light in the background, going, no, you should go, that's the path. It's going to be longer and harder, but when you get to the end of the path, you'll have so many stories, and you'll feel so much more rewarded by taking that longer, the one that's just treacherous and difficult, and has got all of the sort of Halloween trees above it, where you go, gosh, that doesn't look horrendously wonderful up that path, but it'll be the better one, because that one's plain and it's straight and it's simple and
it's easy,
and it's like, oh yeah, well that one, let's go for the dodgy
the
one.
scenic route.
Yeah, let's go the scenic route. And then I end up here today going, well, I don't really know what the next step is. I've got a couple of ideas, but, just sort of believing that, the planet will point you in the direction you're supposed to be going.
Yeah, I'm such a big believer in that. I also worked in a supermarket, funny enough, actually, before I got this job. So when I was in locations, I was working as a daily, and over the Christmas period, the film industry kind of quietens down for the holidays. So I was like, right, well, where's the money going to come in? So I picked up a Christmas temp job at M&S, and I just found myself like Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, people were asking for their turkeys, and I was like, last week I was on set with so-and-so, and now I'm serving, nothing against supermarkets, but it did force me to reassess my life and take myself out of my comfort zone, which is approaching people and asking for opportunities. So on January, when I got this new job in locations, I was like, right, every day is a new day and a start of something exciting. That's what I'd say to myself, and that's eventually how I got here. But it's
job satisfaction, I think, isn't it? In some respects, you can, we can all get a job, but if you're going to dedicate a big portion of your life to it, 10, 20, 30 years, you've got to enjoy it.
Yeah,
surely you've got to enjoy it.
And there's a sacrifice to be made. I growing up in a single parent household, it was paycheck to paycheck. That's how we lived. And so even when I left uni, it was just get a job for the time being, just to get paid, and then look for something else. And that's just how I went around my 20s. So when I got to my 30s and I was doing the crystal business, I thought to myself, right, here's a sacrifice. I just kind of need to give myself 3 months to struggle a little bit, but to pursue this.
Yeah.
And then, it all pays off in the end.
Yeah.
So it's just having the willpower to do it, to take the first step.
100%.
Yeah, amazing. So what have you worked on up to this date? It's been Standby Trainee.
Yeah.
How big have those productions been that you've worked on?
So all of the productions that I worked on since October have been HETV, film and drama. This job that I'm currently on is my first props job, and that's been since May, and it's a TV show, 10 episodes.
Shooting in London.
Shooting in London, part abroad. But for this month, we're all on location, so that's been exciting.
Okay.
Nice to get away from the studio, but it comes with its challenges.
Sure.
One being that, sometimes you don't have easy access to your truck, so you have to make sure you pack your mag liner and you pack your day boxes. So you've got everything on set with you.
So your mag liner is your trolley, isn't it?
Yes.
It's an industry standard kind of piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Each department would have one, wouldn't they?
One or two or three.
One
or two, yeah. And in your world, your mag liner is your lifeline, isn't it?
It is.
In between your truck and you being on set.
It's
so-
essentially an additional person,
Yeah.
really. Just that, like, if you imagined a person with loads of different bags, that's just standing in the corner, ready to just hand you, a scalpel or something.
Yeah.
That's our magliner. I nickname the magliner Maggie.
Oh,
I'm just like Maggie. But yeah, magliner is everything. We have two. One is always on our truck, just in case things like dirty downs, if we need to age something, or cleaning sprays. We do have a box of cleaning
It's
sprays.
like a mobile prop store,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the magliner has everything. The tape roll, which is so important. Our aging, cleaning sprays, and then we have day boxes. We'll have all of our character bits and pieces in.
So yeah, if we took a look onto your truck, we'd see a bunch of equipment like a mobile workshop, but then we'd see your day boxes for any given day, shoot day, where you keep things safe, character boxes where each lead character would have a specific box where all of their hero action stuff would be kept.
Phone, a notepad, a pen, a watch, or whatever.
Yeah, there'd also be a bunch of supporting artist boxes. For example, on big days when you're at a train station or in a police station, for example, everybody needs bags and briefcases, and wallets and keys and IDs and umbrellas and all sorts of different general life stuff, depending on what your period is. Newspapers, magazines, cigarettes, pipes. All sorts of
That
like
in
a whole
itself
treasure trove of stuff.
is a big day, isn't it? When you've got like a lot of extras.
Oh,
You're responsible for them as well, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So had a day recently where it was 100. Actually, was the beginning of the shoot. We had 180 essays.
Oh wow, that's
So
That's enough to strike fear into anyone, isn't it? Really, any department.
first day of shoot, and they were like, "Here's 180 essays. They will need bags."
Gosh,
You'll
we've had
need
such similar
accessories.
trajectories. I can tell. I've got a really good story about when I first started out. My first proper job was Gavin and Stacey,
Oh yeah.
and I did that down in Cardiff. I'd never really been on set before properly, and got the opportunity to be the office runner. Was sat opposite the first AD in the office. I spent most of my time at the photocopier. I should just outline that first. The smell of it, I wake up in the middle of the night, but I was sat opposite Jonathan, the first AD. So I made him cups of tea and got friendly with him. And then one day he was looking for his floor team, and I heard him talking about it, and I was like trying to sort of catch his eye line and go like, please get me out of this office. Please get me out of the office. And he did. He gave me a job as like the sort of, the second runner on the floor. I didn't know what I was doing. Figured all of that out, had a great experience doing it. And it was so successful that they invited me back on the second season to be the third assistant. This is pre-art department maneuver. And my first day with a big background was I was the third AD. We were shooting a scene on the beach where the two families had come to meet each other on Barry Island, and they're all on the beach having a picnic, and all the principal cast were there. So there's like 11 or 12 principal cast. There was 70 background on the beach. There was 150 background up on the promenade. Then after like 150 meters, it was the general public, and there was me and one other runner to control all of that. Just chuck on top of that a donkey. There was also a donkey on set, and the tide was coming in,
Yeah.
and the sun was setting.
Okay.
So we got to the afternoon bit, and I had like my earpiece in, and everyone was struggling. The DOP was in the water up to his chest, with holding the camera above to get these last few shots of the day. As the lights going, the sun's dropping. It's sort of like organized chaos, but like a hyper pressured environment. At which point, Matt White, it was his second day on set, and he was up on the promenade looking after 150 people. And then I was down on the beach looking after like all principal cast and about 70 background and a donkey. At which point, the sort of last take of the day, just before the cameraman went under the water, I'd reset all of the background, was screaming at Matt in the walkie that he'd reset everyone up on top. Turned around and looked at the director as if to say, I think I'm ready. And then realised that the donkey had still kept walking down the beach from the last take and had gone too far out of earshot. So then in my ear I was going, Ben, where's the donkey? Where's the donkey, Ben? Where's the donkey? So the donkey crossed his camera at the start of the scene,
Right.
at which point I didn't know what else to do. So I just dropped all of my clipboards and had to chase this donkey down, literally until he could hear me to tell him to turn around, because there was nobody else on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
At which point I managed to get the donkey back to set at normal speed, and then reset the donkey so we could shoot the final thing before the cameraman went underwater and everybody flipped out because we didn't get the scene. And that was my kind of that was my first big moment where you were like, oh my Lord, I kind of, I don't know whether to cry or laugh or run or hide or just like try and cope somehow. But it was something that I will always remember as like terrifyingly brilliant at the same, I just didn't know. There were so many emotions at the time. It was just absolutely nuts. But I knew at that moment that absolutely this is what I want to do. And I might not be great at it today, but I could guarantee I'll be a little bit better tomorrow after realising to always check where the donkey is, basically. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly the same with me. I mean, I had on this job, I had a week of prep, which was essentially just setting up the truck. And then we had a few days on location. And the first location was very, very busy public place, 180 SAs, lots of props to make it look like they belonged in this place. And I just remember coming home and I was like, I don't know what I've signed myself up for. But then Matthew, who's second on the job, and Mel, who's our first, like, if you could get through that day as your first day, everything's going to be a piece of cake. And I just kept having that in the back of my mind. And yeah, it's nice to see how I've evolved as well. And there's certain things that they will refer to now, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that is. Whether it's just we need to redress the set. At first I was like, oh, I think I know what that is, but I just watching things on Q-Take and taking screenshots of the scenes, and I'm like, well, why would you do that? And they explained it's continuity, and so
there's a few things in there to unbundle, isn't there? There's
yes.
So on the floor there would be there's a sort of hierarchy for the prop department, isn't there? So there's a lead standby who's really close to camera, who is sort of the main point of contact for the director, the DOP. All other departments would know them as the head of the standbys. Then there'd be a second standby who is slightly more behind the scenes, prepping ahead for other scenes coming up. And then on slightly bigger jobs, that's where you fit in. So there's a trainee, so there's a go-between between the floor and the truck, and then obviously people can rotate in order to prep for things coming gathering things once you've moved on,
Yeah.
resetting, all of that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And then especially when you're dealing with numbers that are in their hundreds, if it's a cocktail party and you've got 180 people who are all drinking a cocktail, it's like, and they've got a camera and a newspaper and a notepad because it's a press conference cocktail party. It's like, but everyone's got 3 things times 180. And it's like everyone then needs to go for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and then the scene changes and the scene moves forward and you get half of it back, then half of it goes out. And are there any tips and tricks you've learned in that period for when you're up to volume? How you manage that? Because I know some of your retail skills and other experiences in how to be polite to a lot of people very quickly.
Yes. I would say when working with essays, essentially, even though I'm part of the art department and props, I will approach them as like an AD, and that's how they essentially will see me. Because I'm in charge of how they look, apart from costume, everything else that they interact with. If they've got a neck pillow, if it's on a plane or a cocktail, as you said, that's me. That's on my department. And our first and our second don't really have the time to interact with the essays. So that's where the trainee will come in. My number one tip is just take photos of everything. And also another thing which does is equally as important, and something that I had to come to terms with, was I do have a place on set. And sometimes as a trainee, we think, oh, I don't want to disrupt anything, or I might get in the way. But no, we're equally as important. Like that cup needs to go back on this placeholder. And it took me a while to get to grasp with that. But even so, when I used to go to crowd holding, and the ADs or costume would line everybody up and take photos, and I used to hold back and be like, oh, let them do that bit. And I'm like, no, I need to be on set in 5 minutes. I just need to get in there and get my photos and
Your
go.
time management skills.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to fight for your right to be there.
Yeah. So take photos of everything. There is an app. Am I allowed to mention apps?
I think so, yeah.
And there's an app called Slap Pro,
Slap.
which is what Matthew, our second, told me to download, and it essentially tags all of your photos, so that when you're looking through it on your photo album, you can say, okay, this scene number, let me see all the photos from that scene.
Okay. Right.
So that's really useful, and just making note of everything, labels.
Yeah.
So we cable tie everything in like bags, so we know it's for each character or an essay, and just
Cataloging and logging of everything.
Yeah.
And Q-take you mentioned.
Yes.
That's like can we just hang on for 1 sec so we don't get that alarm? We'll carry on.
Yeah, carry. It's not picking up on.
No, good. Okay.
Medora.
So another thing is Q-take. I started out and did a little bit on the floor, but it's been a while since I've been back there.
Yeah.
What's Q-take?
So Q-take is essentially the feed from video that we get. So we pick up on what A camera is seeing and B camera is filming. And it will tell you the scene number, the time, the frames, everything. But what we use it for is we'll watch and take screenshots. So you just tap the screen and you'll take screenshots, and we use that for continuity.
And that's on your phone or tablet or something?
Yeah. So you'll when you go to set on your first day, find video, ask them to sync up to your phone, download the app, and then you're on a roll. Yeah.
Oh, great. It really helps when you're having to move camera as well.
Yes.
And obviously, you've got the set which is so big, but you're currently looking over here. You're taking pictures on your phone, but then you'll take it on Q-tape where the camera is, but then you'll need to refer back to that later when the camera moves.
Exactly.
And so it all integrates and plays a massive part, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And just simple things. There was a costume change in one of our scenes, so they closed the curtains and then they forgot to open them again, and I was like, oh well, before that costume change the curtains were open. It's simple things that as people we might miss because it's so minute, but it picks up on camera and it makes a difference. So yeah, Q-Take will become your best friend on set, as well as organising.
Yeah. What are your hopes and dreams then at this point? Still being a spring chicken and all.
Yeah.
Having not done much already in terms of like a grand life up until this point.
Yeah.
What are your goals? I guess what are your goals from this point on in terms of the prop department?
The prop department. I mean, I think I do like the idea of being a standby art director. Graham, who's our standby art director, is great, and I've learned so much from him. I do like the idea of just overseeing everything and being that bridge between the director and the props department. And again, expanding on that creative vision. But as I've explained, like my life has taken me so many different directions that
never
I've
know.
got to a point where I'm just like, I'm going with the flow.
Yeah.
Wherever it takes me, whoever I speak to, whatever opportunity crops up, I'm here for it. So
Grand. Yeah. Lee, we've just started a job which we can't talk about. But Lee's going onto the floor. Now, what you might not know about Lee is he had a previous life where he was on the floor as a stand-in
and picture double. Yeah.
picture double,
Yeah.
and then he kind of went through the trajectory and then plopped out in the prop department, and then this job now he's about to go onto the floor full time as the second standby. If you've got any advice for Lee, I'm sure he'd happily receive it, because he's been tucked away quietly on the dressing team probably for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Oh,
And now is going back out into the trenches.
Back out. Yeah.
Yeah.
a 3D printer will
Oh,
become your
a
A
best friend.
3D printer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthew, who's our second, just invested in one, and he's 3D printed things, accessories for our Maggie, our magliner.
Yeah.
Just like little hooks where we can just hook things on, and he's like, this would retail for £60, but I just printed it for 2 hours, and I'm like, great, that's amazing.
Great. I'll go get 3D printed
Yeah,
then.
Yeah.
So while an
just
important
spend-
scene's taking place, you can hear the whirring of I'm just making a couple of hooks.
Just a couple of hooks.
Yeah, or a custom cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's handy. I would say I work very closely with Matthew, just in terms of the organising and structure of things, and Mel, who's on the floor whenever I get a chance, is phenomenal to work with. But organisation, like just watching how he breaks down the script and is like, we're potentially going to need this, or having a backup for the backup for the hero prop, like 3 backups, and yeah, thinking ahead. I mean, I don't know how they do it. That like Mel will be on set and we're in the midst of it, and she'll radio saying like, in 2 weeks we've got this scene and we're going to need this. Can you speak to our action buyers and make sure that we have this? And can you do an inventory of drinks? And I'm like, how do you have the space for that right now?
It's funny when you're really close up to camera,
hear-
how much it is constantly evolving as a piece of creation. In that, what Mel will have at that point is really first-hand information of tweaks and little adjustments to character and story that aren't in the script, that haven't been planned. Some of it you're forecasting, but some of it is evolving as you're doing it, because you're creating something at the end of the day, and there's always an element of that that's never on the page. There's always an element of those ideas. You put so many creative people in a space with a bit of pressure and some goals to meet, things just ping off the walls constantly. At which point some of them don't hit, but some of them do. And it's like, we need to remake this. This needs to be lighter, stronger, faster. It needs to be a different colour. There needs to be 5 or 6 of these. Other people should have them. And that sort of continuing involvement.
Yeah. And you have to pick up on those, don't you, as a
You have
first?
to be listening.
And then even if nothing comes of it, if
Yeah.
it's something that you can do quite creatively and resourcefully, you have to pass that
as
down.
soon as you can
Yeah.
get that info, as
You
soon
have
as
to,
have
like
that
a rugby
information,
ball, you have to
yeah,
throw it down the
you've gotta
line
share it,
and then
yeah.
share it so that then yourself can then, get in contact with a buyer and say, we've just heard we might need a pipe instead of a cigarette now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They may or may
exactly.
not ask for this today
Yeah.
or tomorrow
We
or the
will.
day after, but
Yeah.
if they did, it would be great if we
Yeah.
could have X.
And then you have to have options of that X, just
Yeah.
so you can throw all of these options to the director. And another thing that I learned was moments. So like Mel and Graham would, whenever we had like a lot of background essays, and it's creating moments for the camera that is for comedic effect. But that's really interesting because sometimes you just think, oh, essays are just a blur in the background, but
Yeah.
they still need their moment. Like,
Sure.
so it looks,
You
yeah.
mentioned doing like a breakdown. So just explain
Yes.
to us how the breakdown works in the prep, and then how options come into that breakdown.
Yeah. So essentially, the standby art director and the first and second will read through the script and create a spreadsheet. So it will say scene number, a little breakdown of what happens in the scene, the characters involved, and then each department has a column. So action, buyers, standby art, dressing, graphics, and then we break down what each department would need to provide for that scene. So essentially it will say like character A drinks a can of Coke. So who's going to buy the Coke? Who's storing the Coke? Is the Coke going to be Coca-Cola? Do we have, branding right off for that? If not, graphics needs to make a label for that. And essentially that all ties in. So we look at the breakdown week by week, and then we will set up different day boxes for each day. But of course, on Tuesday, if that character has a phone, and then they also have it on a Thursday, I have to just put it in one box and then make sure that we have it on Thursdays.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned about drinks because, for example, you've got a scene where you've got a load of extras drinking red wine.
Yeah.
It's not red wine, is it?
No.
So what is it?
So there's two things I've learned. You can use purple grape juice or just a red wine enhancer, which is you add it to water and dilute it or make it as strong as you need. But also caffeine, so decaf coffee and decaf tea bags, because we can't give an essay or
You can't give them
or a
five
class like
cups of
5
coffee.
cups of coffee and be like, you need to down this for 20 takes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been interesting, and how to make cocktails look like cocktails. So like a martini, it's water and olive, but sometimes a little olive oil. Yeah, it's been fun.
It's more than just solving the problems, isn't it? It's also coming up with these wacky sort of creations to sell
Yeah.
the idea.
And also like when you work on a production, every department's going to have a tight budget. We can't essentially buy 100 essays, 100 phones just to have. So we have to rotate phones, but we have to change phone cases. So it's kind of knowing how to recycle and reuse hero props so that they look different.
Yeah.
And thinking ahead, because not everything's on Amazon where we're going to get it next day delivery. We have to,
Yeah.
Another fun thing was we did a blood rig a few weeks ago, and my job was to figure out how to use this blood rig. And I looked on the bottle with the blood, and it was like dilute with 50% water. And it was attached to a fake syringe.
Yeah.
And I was pressing it so hard and it just wouldn't go through the tube. Cut the tube. I was like, okay, we have 2 backups, so this one has to work. And it wasn't until afterwards I figured out that because I didn't pop the syringe in, there was too much pressure. But the syringe was with graphics for the labels. So it wasn't until on the day, 10 minutes before we were filming the scene, that we were like, let's just put the syringe in and hope for the best, and then it works. So yeah.
It's amazing how many moments I've had like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about them though. How long have we got? About 2 minutes. Like, oh my God, let's just, everybody cross their fingers. It's going to be fine.
Just hope.
Yeah.
So of all the things you've done with your life and what it's all led to get you here, what advice would you give to students currently at the university where you once were,
Yeah.
looking to get into the industry, and what would you say to them?
I mean, not that I regret my life or anything that I've experienced at all, but if I had the mindset that I do now and I could speak to my 21-year-old self, first I would just say, just trust in the process. Everything that you experience, whether it's positive or negative, will account for something. It will lead you eventually to somewhere where you need to be. You just need to go through, like you said, the scenic route and not just the straight roads.
Yeah.
What I will say is make your own projects as well. Like if you have the time, grab your friends on the weekend, make a short film. Back when I was at uni, I think YouTube was up and coming, but it wasn't super huge. But now with social media and everything, you essentially can
It's right
launch
in front
yourself.
Of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right in
Yeah.
front of you now.
Launch yourself, and you don't have to go through the extent that you did 15, 20 years ago. So yeah, do your own projects. We essentially have a cinema camera at
In your
palm of our
pocket.
hands,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So utilize that.
Yeah.
Speak to everyone. Get out of your comfort zone. But in the end, if it all feels really stressful, surrender and just let life take you where it needs to take you. That's what I would say.
Great.
Amazing.
Alex, thanks so much for spending
Thank
your
you.
time with us. It was
Thanks
really
so
great
much.
to speak to, and I hope we'll meet again at some point a little bit further down the track, and
Yeah.
we'll see how you're getting on.
When I'm a standby art director,
Yeah.
I'll come back.
We'll have you back.
Okay, great. Thank you
Lovely.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for following. Keep following,
Check us out on socials. Drop a comment.
and we'll
yeah.
see you soon.
See you soon.
Thanks very much.